Hi, everyone. It is 7 o'clock, exactly on the dot. Welcome to Couch to Kitchen. This week, we are doing fruits and vegetables. On Monday, we did all about vegetables, and today we're doing all about fruits. So we learned a lot about vegetables on Monday, how to stew, how to roast, how to blanch, and definitely how to make things not bland. So today, when we're exploring fruits, we're really going to talk about different things to do with them that you normally wouldn't. So we all love fruits. We all love how sweet they are, how a little bit of tart, a little bit of tanginess sometimes, and we like to eat them on their own, but how do we incorporate them into our cooking? And that's what we're going to explore today. So again, welcome to Couch to Kitchen. If you have never been here before, welcome, welcome. If you have, welcome back. Couch to Kitchen is where you casually watch our cooking videos, hopefully on the couch, just enjoying yourself, relaxing. And then afterwards, with our taped version, you are able to recreate a lot of the recipes. So a couple of reminders. Number one, when you come in, you are going to automatically be on mute. Please keep yourself on mute so we minimize all background noise. Also, if you can, please turn off your camera. That is just so I remain spotlighted and everyone's eyes remain on me and what I'm doing here in the kitchen. So no distractions. Thank you so much for that. Also, just a reminder that we want to see your recipes. It's been really fun seeing everything that you all have created. So if you want to recreate anything, make sure to post it on your favorite social media platform and hashtag ZamanC2K. We want to see what you are up to. That's been a fun highlight to see all the different spins that everyone has put on the recipes. Don't forget, we still have lots of classes available. So tell your friends if you like it. You can still sign up. We go all the way until the first week of May. So a lot more to do. What else? What else am I missing? I think that is it. So let's go. Oh, yes, raising your hand. Don't forget, everyone, to raise your hand to ask questions. So 2 ways you can raise your hand. If you're watching on your mobile device, just click on the bottom 3 little dots, hit more. At the very top, it says raise your hand. That's obviously a virtual hand. Our wonderful moderator, Alina, will take you off mute so you can ask your question live. If you're watching from your laptop, on the very bottom options of Zoom, you will see reactions. Click that. At the very top, again, raise your hand. Click it, and Alina will take you off mute. If it's something that requires a longer explanation, we can wait until after class, but I doubt it highly. You all have asked great questions. We've had great conversations, so ask away. All right, everyone, let's get started today. Roll up my sleeves here. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing. So we have 3 different recipes. We are going to start with our warm berry compote. So compote is a French term basically for reduced down fruit. So we're going to take a couple different berries, strawberries, blackberries, and we have some raspberries, but I think I'm putting those in the muffins. Yeah, just strawberries and blackberries today. I'm going to show you a really easy way to cut them up, mash them down, and cook them. Now, this does a couple different things. It's great to put on things like ice cream, which we're going to do today, and little drizzle on like cake, like angel food cake is one of my favorites. But also it can be jarred, put in the fridge, and actually put on your toast in the morning, spread out as berry preserves. So there's a couple different ways you can use a compote, but it's sweet and it's tangy and it's delicious. So we're going to start with that recipe first, and then we'll go on to the other ones. All right, everyone, I'm going to move you down, take you over to the big cutting board, and scooch you so you can see. All right, so a couple things to get me going. First of all, are berries. Now I'm going to talk about this throughout, but something I want to drive home is how to pick out fresh fruit. Now, there is no general rule that sticks with every single fruit when you're picking it out at the store. The reason being is you're looking for different qualities in different fruits. However, there are some things I can tell you. First and foremost, look for fruit that is even in color. So for example, if I'm looking at a strawberry here, I want to make sure it's nice and red all around. Also, fruit definitely has a smell. It's a very, very, very light, sweet smell. So I really encourage you when it's not COVID times, actually, I should put this as a disclaimer, to smell your fruit. I actually went the other day to pick out a cantaloupe and literally went to go put my face in it with my mask on, and I stopped myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't put it in my face anymore. I have my mask on. This is ridiculous. In non-COVID times, smell your fruit. So I'll put you back down here. I had to put that. Sometimes I think, you know, I go to do the weirdest things with my mask on. I'm just not used to it. I'll never be used to it. So anyway, fruit does have a really, really pleasant, sweet, and light smell. Don't be afraid to really take a deep whiff when we are able to, and you'll be able to remember in the future what different fruits smell like. Yes, cantaloupe has a smell. Apples have a smell. Even bananas have a light smell to them, especially when they're ripe. Also, when it comes to things like berries, we want to make sure to try to look over them, especially if they come in a package like this. What I like to do is flip them around and look on the sides or on the bottom to see if there's any mold, because berries go bad very, very quickly. That brings me to my next point about fresh fruit. Try to go to a reputable source and get fruit as fresh as possible. So don't buy it and think you're going to keep it in your fridge for 2 weeks. It's just not going to happen. It's one of those things that goes bad, and it should go bad because fresh fruit doesn't have any preservatives in it. Let's talk about some other types of fruit. Things like this pretty jazz apple here. So again, even color with some light yellow and green on the very top, even red throughout. Sometimes you have something called a sunspot, which means juicy, basically. You see this most commonly in cantaloupes, melons in general, cantaloupes, watermelons, a big yellow spot, which is either where it was sitting on the ground or the sun hit it. It really means nice and juicy. You want to feel the fruit if you can. Make sure it's nice and firm and there's no bruising or holes throughout. Next thing I want to tell you about fruit. Shiny does not mean great. So you look at this apple, you think, oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful shiny apple. This sheen on the outside is actually a very thin wax coating. So a lot of farmers do this during the processing, of fruit, because it does a couple things. First of all, it makes it last a little bit longer in the grocery store, and it provides that nice sheen. However, you really don't want to eat it. So you're going to want to always wash fruit and things like apples, give them an extra little rub to get off that waxy coating. And remember, if a fruit is a little bit on the dull side and doesn't have the super shiny color, that doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means there's no wax coating. Often you find that in organic fruits. Remember that some fruits actually need a little extra time ripening. So 2 examples, and ones that we definitely know, are bananas. So bananas are bought green. And they're bought green because bananas actually grow in tropical places in South America, definitely not here. They have a long, long way to travel. And when they're ripe, you have to eat them within a couple days. So because the journey is so long here up north, you definitely don't have time to pick them ripe and then eat them. So they're picked green, and we have to let them ripen before we break into them. Also, keep in mind, a lot of people don't know how to pick these out, but things like pears, again, give it a good sniff. It should have a very light, sweet smell, even color, no holes or bruises. However, it's really firm. Some fruits, like apples, they're great when they're firm. Other fruits, like pears, actually have a little give to them. Now, they're not like super soft, for example, bruised, but they are slightly soft to the touch, just a little bit. This one is still pretty hard, which means it needs extra ripening. So I put it on my countertop or my windowsill where the sun can get to it, and it will ripen in a couple days. So just the 411 on some fruits and how to pick them out. There's a million different things that you can do for them. Fruits are super, super high in nutritional value. First of all, they have natural sugars in them. And automatically when you hear sugar in your head, we think, oh, no, bad, right? So we're kind of conditioned for that. No, when I say sugar, I mean good natural sugar that actually gives you energy. Yes, natural sugars are found in a lot of things like fruit and fruit juices, and it's what gives us good bursts of energy without the crash of processed white sugar. So fruit is a very good thing to have, especially in the morning when you need that extra kick, that extra energy boost. So I make sure to have some sort of fruit every single day, especially berries. I love them on oatmeal and on granola and just really plain. I think that's how we enjoy fruit the most. Really just plain. You don't have to cook, you don't have to do anything into it. You just bite into it and it's fantastic. But what I want to focus on today is different ways on how to actually cook fruits and incorporate it into your cooking. Now there's two things that are dessert. It's probably the most common fruit ways to use fruit is in dessert. We're gonna do a berry compote and then we're gonna do raspberry muffins. But at the end, I'm actually gonna teach you how to incorporate sweet and savory. So we're gonna incorporate some fruit into some really awesome tacos, and you can see how that's done. So now we went over some basics on fruit. Let's get back to our berry compote. So again, I have two different berries here, blackberries and strawberries. I love to use different berries in this, like cherries, raspberries, blueberries. But today I'm going to combine these two particular fruits because they looked to be the freshest at the market. Also keep in mind, fruits, we're very used to getting fruits whenever we want. Excuse me. However, fruits are specifically in season at a very specific time. The reason we can get fruits whenever we want is because they come from other states that have a milder climate than we do. However, if you want the best of the best, look when fruits are in season in your area and try to get them at that time, and you will not be sorry. So for strawberries here, I'm just going to trim off the very top and cut these in slices. Ooh, these are actually good. So when strawberries aren't in season, I'm really, really not a fan of them, and they'll be all white on the inside. But when they're a deep red like this, oh, they're juicy. Those are good. Also, the smaller the strawberry, usually the fresher it is. The big ones use GMOs and all sorts of different growth hormones and chemicals to make them into these gigantic things that are actually not very natural. We grow strawberries at my parents' house, and they're very tiny. They're about the size of my thumb, the natural ones. So it is not natural for them to be that big. So I try to always get the smaller ones. They're juicier too. So I'm just chopping these into small pieces and putting them into a pot. Ooh, here's a good example of a strawberry that is not even color. You see that? So you see how it's all white right here and then red on this side? Have no fear. Another thing that I love about fruit, sometimes you have bad spots. And that's okay. It doesn't mean the whole thing is bad. I'm just going to cut off that spot and throw it away, and the rest of it I can use. That's really the same with bruising. Like when you have a bruised peach, oftentimes it doesn't mean the whole peach is bad. Just cut out the bruise and keep on eating. And sometimes the whole thing goes bad. It just depends. There we go. And a couple more. Ooh, that's a super red one. Look at that, how pretty on the inside. There we are. Now I'm going to put in some blackberries. I pre-rinsed everything, everyone in the bowl before I put it here in this small sauce pot. And I looked over the blackberries, but I'm going to do it again. Oftentimes what happens with blackberries is they start to go moldy on the very inside and then work their way out. So I like to check the core to see if they're gone moldy. If one goes moldy, you don't have to throw away the whole thing. It's a natural process. It happens really quickly with berries. So just check them and discard the ones if you see any mold. If not, you're good to go. So I'm going to put this in the pot as well. There we go. And I'm going to get a little bit of water. So I'm putting some water in the pot, not all the way, just a little bit to coat the bottom of the pan, but I'm not going to fill it 100% up, just a teeny bit of water. How much? It just really depends on how many berries that you're putting in it. I said roughly a cup, but that's a really, really rough measurement. I want to make sure to make that note. It depends on how many berries and how big they are inside of here. So a couple more things that we are going to add. First of all, a squeeze of fresh orange juice. And when I put orange juice in my recipes, I don't mean the stuff from like the OJ in the morning. Like what am I thinking of? I'm having a brain freeze here. I don't mean this, not this. I mean, actually, what am I thinking of? A jar, a can, a container. I guess that's what I can't think of the word anyway. A bottle. Thank you. Jeez, oh Pete. You said, why couldn't I think of that word? I mean fresh oranges. So take a half of an orange and just give it a nice little squeeze. I love doing this with citrus juices, lime juice, lemon juice, and orange juice, because it adds the slightest little tang. And I am crazy about tangy, tart, and sour. And I mean crazy about it. Not everyone is, which I totally recognize. However, in my cooking, you will find a lot of those tart notes. Next, we're going to add some spices. Hail back to our spice chapter, everyone. Remember, spices are not just for savory cooking. They are also for sweet cooking. So this is something that's super underutilized. We all know ground cinnamon, but how about a cinnamon stick? Oh, it smells so good. I love that. Cinnamon stick actually has a tendency to be even a little sweeter than ground cinnamon, and also a lot more subtle flavor. So put a whole one in there. And then, oops, I actually grabbed the ground cinnamon. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, I got their caps mixed up. Ground nutmeg. There we go. A little dash of ground nutmeg. Not too much, because ground nutmeg is pretty darn zippy. So just a dash. And then some granulated white sugar. However, if you wanted to put anything from honey to molasses in here, you can, or even agave would be really good. I'm going to do just a little bit of white sugar, not too much, because again, I like the nice tang. I don't want to overpower it with too much sugar. All right, let's bring you over to the stove. All right, give me a second, everyone, for that to just warm up just a tidbit, just a couple minutes, and I will show you how to mash it down. I'm gonna reset myself here for a sec.
Chef, in the meantime, I'm a huge fan of berries, and specifically blueberries. Do you have any recommendations for how to best maybe freeze them when they're in season?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. So the beautiful thing about fruit in general is that most of it can be frozen. I think the exceptions would probably be the melons. Your watermelon, your cantaloupe doesn't freeze too well, but anything else does beautifully frozen. So when it is in season, especially here in Michigan, we have a plethora of berries here. So in the springtime and the summer, we have strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and the great thing is that they actually grow wild. So you can find them all over the state, especially at your local farmers market. So if you choose to buy them, all you have to do is make sure that they don't have a lot of moisture. So what I like to do is give them a nice little rinse, make sure that there's no buggies or twigs or anything in them, and then put them out on a paper towel or just a regular what's the word I'm looking for? The towels that, like a linen towel that doesn't, it's not too, I'm losing my words tonight. The towels that are not too fluffy. Gotcha. Otherwise, you know, they stick to the berries, like a linen towel or a paper towel. Lay it out and let the water completely absorb into the towel. You have to probably, I would say, lay out, especially berries, for about a couple hours or so to let all the moisture evaporate. Then just put it in a Ziploc bag. I highly, highly recommend a Ziploc bag and not a Tupperware container, because too much air actually gets in the Tupperware container and it can easily mold. So a Ziploc bag, get out all of the air, zip it up and put it straight in the freezer. That's it. That's all you have to do. And I'm crazy about freezing berries because I use them so much in pie, and then I can just take them out and they take a couple, maybe 30 minutes to defrost, and then whip up my pie filling. So pie is for another day, which we definitely will do. Dessert section, shameless plug, but that's a good one.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, everyone. So the water is got little bubbles around the side here. So you can do this in a couple different ways. You can either take a potato masher just like so, or a muddler right here, whatever you prefer. And you're going to give these a light mash. Okay. Our goal is not to puree this. You might think like, Daniela, why didn't you put it in a blender beforehand? Because that's not our goal. A compote is actually going to have larger chunks of intact fruit. That is the texture that we're going for. So we don't want this to be a completely smooth puree. We want those nice, beautiful chunks of fruit. There we go. I'll probably do this one more time, everyone, but for now, that's about right. We're gonna leave this on the heat and let it cook down. It takes a while. We are going to practice something called reduction cooking. Reduction cooking is where you're reducing something, making it smaller. So we're letting this simmer on low heat. A lot of the water is going to evaporate and this is going to get smaller and therefore thicker, which is exactly what we want in a good compote. About halfway through this, I'm going to taste it to see if it needs a little more sugar or if I can just let it continue on simmering. So perfect, it got up to boil. Now we are going to take it and bring it down. Be very careful, everyone, because let me tell you, if you do not watch this, let it come to a boil and then turn it down, it will all of a sudden explode over. I've had many of explosions for these compotes. Don't do that. So really, really watch it and bring it down to a simmer and make sure that you are controlling the heat. I'm going to give this one little stir here. You do not have to stir this often. There's so much water in it. It's not going to really need that sort of attention, but once in a while, make sure that it's not sticking around the edges. Beautiful. All right, let me take you back over to my cutting board and let's move on to our next recipe. All right, next we're going to do lemon raspberry muffins. Again, you'll see this general theme with me. I love the tangy and the sweet, and I don't like things that are too sweet, which is why I love, love, love fruit desserts. I can't get enough of them. I like to teach muffins because muffins, sometimes people think that muffins can elude them. Muffins are the easiest thing you could possibly do. So I'm going to teach you how to do a really easy way to mix together muffin, actually called the muffin method. It's usually higher sugar and higher liquid content and a lower flour content. You mix them together. You don't need a stand mixer. You don't need a blender, nothing like that. It's all by hand. So let's get started. Really important with the muffin method that everything actually comes to room temperature. So I had out my eggs and my milk for a while. Go. And let me get out my scale. This is going to be kind of a slight introduction, I would say, to what we're going to do during the dessert chapter, but very important that if you did sign up for desserts, I would highly recommend to get your scale now, because when I bake, I use weight. I do not use cup measurements. Why? Because weight is way, way more accurate and a lot easier cleanup. And baking requires accuracy. That is the number one thing that I can teach you. So kind of intro, get it now. If you haven't gotten a scale, you definitely want to. So first things first, we're going to preheat our oven to 375 degrees, mix together flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt in a bowl, and then set aside. So I have my bowl right over here. I'm going to put my bowl on my scale. Oh, turn on my scale first. Put my bowl on my scale. We are going to set it to pounds for the flour. Here we go. And we're going to press tare, that's spelled T-A-R-E, to zero it out. So what it does when you put the bowl on the scale is automatically weighing what the bowl weighs. We don't want what the bowl weighs. We want whatever we put in the bowl. So if we just press the tare button, it zeroes it out. Zero. Doesn't weigh anything right now. So whatever I put in here, that's what it's going to weigh. And I'm not measuring, I'm dirtying up measuring cups or using anything else but this bowl. So let's start off with flour. In this particular case, we're going to use all-purpose white flour. Always, 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 I don't know a time when you're baking where you're not going to sift the flour. So another thing that you need, a fine mesh sieve. Put in the flour here. And what this does is it's getting air in the flour, and it is also any little hard impurities or hard little bits, which happens naturally in all flour, it is also going to get out of there. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Go. One second, everyone. My scale is like acting up just a tish bit. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. A little too much. Nope. Nope, still not working. Hold on. Okay, let's try that. See if that works. Yeah, I think that's better. All right. Hopefully we'll get that back on track. Getting up to 12 ounces. See all those impurities in there? That's definitely what we want to get out. And again, whenever we are sifting like this, we are getting air in the flour, which makes for nice, light, airy baked products. Watching the scale here to make sure that I am exact. Baking requires exact measurements. And 12, there we go, perfect. All right. Flour off to the side. Next, we're going to mix together the sugar. Here we go. Here's my white sugar. Here's the beauty. You don't need to dirty another measuring cup. I want to measure 7 ounces of sugar. So again, all I'm going to do is press tare to zero it out. We'll do 7 ounces of sugar. There we go, perfect. Exactly 7. Now the exception is when you have really small amounts like teaspoons. This requires a teaspoon or a tablespoon. This requires 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So in this case, I will get out the spoon measurements. Always make sure, everyone, that you double and triple check. Do not mix up baking powder and baking soda. You will have a disaster on your hand. So always check baking powder. There we go, 1 tablespoon. And a half a teaspoon of salt. We call this in culinary school a quick bread method. A quick bread method is where you use a chemical leavener to make something nice and fluffy. A chemical leavener is considered either baking powder or baking soda. There's no yeast involved. All right. Now that we have all those ingredients in this bowl, we are going to whisk it together to combine. So nice metal whisk. Whisk it all like so. And I am going to need a bigger bowl. You can tell already, which is fine. We will transfer. There we go. Mix really well to evenly distribute the salt and the sugar. Looks about right, and I will set this off to the side. Next, we're going to combine our wet ingredients. Get my scale up here again, and a smaller bowl. It's weighing the bowl, it's 11 ounces, so I'm going to press tare to zero it out. Now I'm going to add half and half oil, lemon zest, and eggs. So for half and half, just in case, some people might know this already, but some people don't. So I just want to say half and half is simply half milk, half heavy cream. So it's what people put in their coffee, but love, love, love to cook with it. And I don't buy the half and half that's already mixed at the store. I have milk always, and I cook a lot with cream. So I just combine the two together and it equals half and half. So this requires, let's see, a half a pound, which is 8 ounces of half and half. So 4 ounces of milk, 4 ounces of whipping cream. Don't worry, I'm actually not that good with math. You don't have to be either. It's pretty simple, I promise. All right. So 4 ounces of milk. Ooh. I went over just a tish, which is fine. Should have gone slower. There we go. There's 4. The rest of this goes bye-bye. And 4 ounces of cream. To go slow to make sure I don't go over because there's no going back on this one. There you go. Now I'm going to add some oil. In this particular case, we are going to do neutral oil. Neutral oil is going to be a vegetable or a canola oil in this case. We want to add moisture and richness, but not too much flavor. So that's where the neutral oil comes in. So 3 ounces. See, not dirtying another measuring cup. Just tear it out, put it right in the same bowl. Going really slow to make sure that I have this exact. Beautiful. All right, 3. Next, we are going to add 2 eggs and lemon zest. I don't need to weigh anymore, so I'm going to take this right off the scale. 2 eggs. The eggs have been sitting out too. Again, everything's coming to room temperature. Really important for the muffin method. There we go. 1, 2 eggs. Get my hands washed here. And we're going to zest lemon. We did this, I think we did it once. I can't remember what recipe, but I remember talking about it. So with zested lemons, everyone, it's just going to be the outside yellow part of the lemon. You do need this. This is called a microplane or a zester. It has very, very thin and fine holes. Really, it is different than a cheese grater, which has deeper holes. This is super fine, so it's not to get to the white part or to the juice of the lemon, just the yellow. So I gave those a little rinse ahead of time. And now I am just zesting. No actual lemon juice in this. And in some ways, the zest has an even brighter flavor to it, and it's actually very distinctly different than lemon juice. I am quite obsessed with it. That's my Italian Southern heritage, though. They put lemons in absolutely everything because they grow them down there. Give it a little hit. Make sure we get all of it, and then we are going to whisk this all together. Make sure that the eggs are completely mixed in, no streaks. Perfect. And now we are going to fold the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. I will show you the folding technique. It's a really important one to learn. For that, you need a rubber flexible spatula. We're going to add in the wet ingredients to the dry. We are going to take our rubber scraper and gently fold on the top here, scrape along the sides, and kind of turn the spatula to fold in the middle. What does this do? It gently combines ingredients without really breaking or disturbing them. It's going to be lumpy, totally okay. That is the muffin method. So keep turning the bowl, scraping along the side, and then flipping your spatula in a motion that goes towards the middle. There we go. I'm getting underneath here in the middle too. And I'm going to keep going. This smells like heaven already with sugar and the lemon zest. Yummy. There we go. Get underneath here. Our goal with the muffin method is not to get a smooth batter. Again, it is going to be lumpy, and also not to overwork. The second you start mixing this too much and overworking it, your muffins are going to fall. That is the number one trick that people often don't do correctly with muffins. They don't fold in, and they think that it has to be a very smooth batter. It is not. All right, that's about it. But what I want to make sure is check in the middle here for any lingering flour. And I do see some still on the bottom. So I'm going to kind of like scrape that up. Really make sure that that is all combined. All right, let's see what I have here. Yep. Yep. There we go. That is it. Next, I am going to add my raspberries. Actually set aside a couple of them. A little raspberry leaf. I gave these a nice rinse beforehand. And we're going to fold these in as well. Raspberries, berries in general are super duper delicate. So make sure to be really gentle, otherwise you'll end up breaking them. How do you do that? The folding method. So again, scrape along the sides and fold the raspberries in. Some of them will break a little bit, but not too much. For muffins, I really recommend using fresh fruit. You can use blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and However, if you use the frozen, there's too much water in them. It's too high of a water ratio, and it has a tendency really to mess with the batter. So really, really recommend here only frozen. And that is it. It tastes just a little bit. So good. Next, I have taken a muffin tin, put in our lovely little parchment cups. An ice cream scoop is going to be your best friend when you're portioning out a lot of baked goods. Going to get a scoop of this and fill it up just like so. This is supposed to be about 3/4 full, so that first one's a little full, about. Actually, I lied to you all. I don't know. That'll do. Oh, that's going to be okay. There we go. That's better. That's better. Here. And one of those is a little full, so I'm going to take out just a teeny little bit to make sure it doesn't explode. There we go. Just a little bit. Transfer it over to another one. Go, make sure they're as even as possible, which is where the ice cream scoop helps a lot. You a little bit more. All right, looks good. Put this off to the side. There's a couple more to do. No mix required, everyone. You see how easy that is? Now, let me tell you, a lot of grocery stores and companies market you like you need the muffin mix in order to make muffins. So not true. You've got this. Easy breezy. All right, let's do a couple more. And then I will get the rest. Usually there's a mini one. That's okay. I don't like anything to go to waste, even though they're not all going to be perfect. This one needs a little bit more. All right, there we go. These are going in the oven, 375 degrees for about 20 minutes. Good enough to lick this spoon. Yummy. Alexa, set timer for 20 minutes. All right. I'm going to reset here, everyone. So please. Let's also check on our compote. Bring you over to the stove. This is definitely reduced down, definitely gotten thick. Just giving it a nice little stir to make sure it's not sticking. I'm going to turn down the heat even more. And this is the point where I'm going to give it a little taste to see what it needs. So good. Nice and tart. I'm actually, this is unlike me, but I'm going to add a teeny bit more sugar because that is tart, just a little bit more. Give that a nice little stir. Glorious. All right, everyone. Again, I'm going to just finish up here, resetting. And then we'll move on to our sweet and savory portion of the evening. All right. More. All right, bring it back to the cutting board. So next, we are going to do some tacos al pastor. This is traditionally done with a pork butt, but I modified it a little bit to do chicken tonight. Super common. Everyone, of course, loves to get chicken breast. So first and foremost, let's talk about the marinade. And we'll go over this, I think, a little more in our meat section, I believe. So the marinade on this, there seems to be a lot of ingredients, but it really is very straightforward. It is lime juice, orange juice, remember not the stuff from the container, but actual fresh squeezed oranges, white vinegar, brown sugar, salt, pepper, onion, cumin, cinnamon, allspice, and dried oregano. You put it all in a blender or food processor and let it all mix. The only thing you might have questions about is the chilies. The chilies are those dried chilies that often you can get at specialty stores, or you see them in the international food sections that are dried and packaged. Those dried chilies have a skin that really resembles leather. They're the most wonderful thing in the world to cook with, just a lot of people don't know how to do it. You simply cut off the stems, take out the seeds, toast them in a dry pan on both sides, and then rehydrate them by simmering them for 15 minutes. That is it. After that, you can use them in braises, sauces, soups, stews, and marinades. After they're rehydrated, I throw them in with everything else and let them blend together along with a little bit of that liquid they were simmering in. So marinade's very, very simple. And then I just cut up my chicken in strips and put it in. It's been sitting in this marinade for about 12 hours. So of course I had to do this in advance. But here's what it looks like. I'm gonna just stir it up. It smells kind of like a salsa that has more vinegar in it. That's really more of a strong smell. It's going to be an incredibly strong and beautiful flavor. And there's really, I can see the chicken just really absorbed it. So it's going to be awesome. So next thing, we're going to cook the chicken. I'm going to show you how to put together the tacos and the things that we do in between. Here's where the sweet part comes from. Pineapple. This. Now you can cut the pineapple yourself. However, you don't want to see me do that on camera. That takes a super long time. So instead I bought pineapple that comes just like so in a little ring that is already cored for me. Super convenient. I'm going to take a knife and cut pineapple circles. That's about going to do it. It's beautiful. The rest I'll save for my breakfast. Next, I'm going to get a plate and a pastry brush. This right here is reserved marinade. It's the same exact marinade I made for the chicken that I just described for you. I put aside and kept in the fridge, not on the chicken, because that is a conflict of foodborne illness, everyone. So keep in mind, when you're marinating something, when you're marinating meat, especially, it needs to go back in the fridge, and that marinade cannot be used for anything else because it's touched raw chicken. So I set this aside in advance. Now I'm going to take my pineapple rings, put them on a plate. And I'm going to brush one side of them. Pastry brush and this marinade all over. So already I'm combining this incredibly savory marinade that consists again of fresh rehydrated chilies, vinegar, citrus juice, and a bunch of spices. And I'm putting it straight on fruit. This I was very excited for because I get to eat these tacos afterwards. Beautiful. Let's take you over to my big pan. I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. I need a little bit of neutral oil in this pan. It's just a little bit of vegetable oil. Just a little bit. We're going to get that hot and then coat the bottom of the pan. A little bit more. There we go. Coat the whole thing. I'm going to take over my marinade over here and my pineapple. And take each pineapple ring and put it face down right here in the hot oil. I'm going to keep this plate handy, everyone. You're going to need it. One more in the middle. Okay. And I'm going to take the marinade and go on the other side here. You should smell it the second it hits that pan. It has a very sweet and spicy smell right away. Yummy. Go. We're just getting some nice color on both sides. So I'll wait a couple minutes and then flip them over. I need my what? There we go. Flip one of these. See how I'm doing? Not quite yet. Get a little more color on them. You should see a little bit of brown golden color around each side of the pineapple rings. So you're crystallizing the natural sugar of the pineapple. At the same time, that lovely marinade is forming a crust. See what these look like. Yeah, a little golden. Turn those for even cooking. My stove is on an angle, so turning is a must. how this is doing. Let's let them let it cook a little bit more. Good, good, good. Getting nice though. Okay, I'm gonna take these out, everyone. Oops. Slippery suckers, be careful. Gorgeous. In the exact same pan, we did the pineapple first because now we're going to put in the raw chicken, right with the marinade, right in there. Gonna even that out and let the chicken cook. All right, so while we're waiting for that to cook, let's check on our compote, which is done. Let's bring it back over to the cutting board and show you the final product. This, everyone, is our berry compote. You see how really thick it reduced down. I tasted it one last time. It's absolutely perfect. Now is the point, again, where you can drizzle it over a couple different things, anything from ice cream to cake. I love this on angel food cake. And also, if you just want to, you just have some extra leftover berries that you want to reduce down together, you can also put this in a jar and keep it in your fridge and slather it on your toast in the morning. How unbelievably easy is that? So for the final product, let's put it on some ice cream. My husband is always making fun of me, but I am one of those people. I just like plain vanilla. And I like it because, especially for this, makes the berries stand out so much. Ice cream scoop here. One. So cute. Let's take our warm berries right over the top, and it just melts the ice cream and just makes, oh, so good. And I saved some of my raspberries here for a little fresh garnish on the side. So there is my warm berry compote. I have to do this. I have to taste. That's so good. There's nothing like that in ice cream. Love, love, love. All right, let's take you back over to my chicken to check on it. This is coming along nicely. Great. Now we're going to prepare everything else for my tacos. So for the tacos, I prepared a couple different things. I have some chopped up onion, really classic, just raw onion for some extra aromatics. We have some chopped up cilantro for some brightness. Salsa, how to make fresh salsas for another time in another class. We have some really mild melting white cheese and some tortillas. Corn tortillas are best because it's more authentic and they taste better. And I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of all, but I really like corn tortillas the best, I would say. Next, for my pineapple, everyone, we are just going to take one of these little pieces of goodness And we are going to chop it up into smaller pieces. Yeah. Figure out how to open the, oh, here, here we go. There we go. A little corn tortilla here, everyone. Let's build this taco. A little bit of salsa. Just a teeny bit of onion. Have your pineapple slices. Let's check on this chicken to see if it's done. I'm gonna check on a chicken slice, everyone, to see if it's done. Don't want to take it out prematurely. It is not. Nope, sorry, we got to leave that in there. I'll build the rest of it in a minute. Give it another couple minutes. One more minute, everyone. Actually, I'll come back to this. We'll take out our muffins so we can look at our muffins. They will be done in exactly 1 minute and 23 seconds. So just give that a second. In the meantime, I'm not going to snack on the ice cream. Nope. All right. Alexa, stop. All right, everyone. I just checked on my muffins, but those are actually not done either. It's one of those nights. Everything's taking a little longer, which is all right. We'll leave them in there. We still have about 5 minutes or so. Let's check on my chicken. Now we'll see if that's done. There we go. Now the chicken is done. So I'm gonna take some chicken pieces, put it on top of the taco, top of the pineapple. Careful the ones so the big ones can cook a little longer. Full pack of flavor. There we go. Now on top of that hot chicken, a little bit of cheese. And then to top it all off, a little bit of cilantro. And there is my sweet and savory. My sweet pineapple with savory chicken and marinade, all wrapped up in a beautiful corn tortilla. It is glorious, I promise. There's nothing like sweet and savory put together. And we'll just give our muffins 5 more minutes, everyone. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for those, I'll actually show you how you can make a top crust. So I'll make some room over here. So for my muffin topping, I'll take 2 bowls. Oh, ruh-roh. Oh, it says my bandwidth is low. I don't know if everyone can, hopefully everyone can hear me. I just saw that. Hold on 1 second. Am I freezing, everyone? I think I am. Let's see if I can fix it on my computer.
You weren't, but now you are.
Yeah, you're freezing a little bit, Daniela.
Now I am. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not seeing anything on my, it's going super duper slow. And it might be the wind actually, because our lights have flickered a little bit. So I'm going to, can you hear me all though, or is my voice breaking up too?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, if you can hear me, then I'm just going to kind of like, I'm going to continue and wrap it up. So to make our topping here, we need a couple things: melted butter and sugar. So we're going to take a little bit of unsalted butter, always unsalted, and we're going to pop that in the microwave just for a sec, just to melt it. Next, in my other bowl right here, I am going to put some white sugar. There we go. Perfect, just melted butter. Let me check on my muffins now. They should be done. There we go, that's better. Just needed 5 more minutes. Beautiful, beautiful golden tops. So you can leave them in here a couple minutes to cool, but just for the sake of showing everyone, I'm gonna take out one here. You're going to dip it in butter and then dip the top in sugar. And you have a beautiful buttered, it's hot, beautiful buttered sugared top. There is my lemon raspberry muffins. And I can feel them already. They're too hot to eat, but they are super duper fluffy on the inside. So everyone, there's our fruit section. Again, we learned how to make them into desserts, into really light, yummy muffins with a little bit of tang, and also learn how to combine sweet and savory with our pineapple and chicken tacos. So thanks so much. If no one has any question, it looks like some people had to butt out early. My bandwidth is still freezing all over the place. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Sorry about that, it's super windy. So we're gonna go enjoy some ice cream and tacos. Have a great night, and I'll see a lot of you on Monday. Bye, everyone.